that passes by, welcome to this week's episode of Napcast.
Sure, that's close enough.
We are here today.
Do you want to introduce us?
Yeah, look, you always introduce us. I know.
I introduced myself first.
No, I'm go last because I have my little thing.
I'm Sean.
That's Sean.
Yeah, that is Sean.
It's me.
I'm Rebel Notorious. I guess we're doing this now. Oh, the editing this is going to be fun.
I think you're genuinely gonna love it.
And I'm hosting.
Yeah, Melina's hosting today. Do you want to explain why?
So we're starting like a 3-week series where we all will go through a list of questions pertaining to like our experiences with film.
Yeah. What's it called?
Rent-free films?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I saw that. I was like, it doesn't just refer to like one of the questions? Oh,
No.
Films rent-free things.
She's saying that because one of the questions does have the term rent-free.
So for context, this is based on Films to Be Buried With, which is another podcast. I heard
we didn't steal.
That we didn't steal. I heard another podcast doing that and was like, oh, that's a neat idea. Let me grab the questions that they answered. And I've adapted the list and added some of our own ones. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my own profile picture on here.
It's a nice profile.
I forgot that that's what it was. And so I reworked their final question, which is what film are you taking a movie night in heaven, into what films live in your head rent free. And so I thought, oh, that's a good
nice overarching thing.
So I called it rent free films.
Yeah, very good. So this will continue for 2 more weeks where Sean and I will both have our own episode. We'll see who goes after this.
Yeah, it's currently undetermined. I've already stepped up to say I can go next if you want.
Yeah, probably will then.
Yeah. We'll see if we stick with that, but...
So, Michael.
Yes.
You, first, are the designated weeb of the group. Can I ask how many-ish films of these would be anime?
I think there's a few, but it's not like a lot.
Okay.
I think a lot of the questions are harder to apply to anime.
Yeah, no,
I did think that when I was reading through.
Yeah. So I have a couple, but it's not like a dominating thing. It's worked in there, I think, as naturally as normal films and anime exist for me as it is.
So we will start with the first question.
Yes.
Which is very fitting. First film you ever saw?
I could be wrong with my answer, but this is like the one that I actually remember. Like, if I cast my mind back, I have no specific tangible memory attached to it. Just that I think this is one of the first films I ever actually saw, and that was Toy Story 2.
That seems
because that came out in what, 99? So I would have been 2. So probably around the right time for me to see it. Yeah. I'm sure movies were on.
Yeah,
probably,
exactly.
when I was around.
You were not conscious.
I was not conscious yet.
Yeah, you were not aware.
But if I cast my consciousness back, I think Toy Story 2 stands out as like one of the first ones. It wasn't in cinemas or anything like that. It was just I remember seeing it.
Yeah. You remember where, or just it was kind of on, and you just have visuals.
I remember we owned it on VHS. Like we had most of Disney and Pixar on VHS.
Did we have the same childhood?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of kids growing up in the UK had this childhood.
Yeah.
It's specifically Toy Story 2 because that was one of my favorites as a kid. So.
I did watch Toy Story 2 a lot more than I watched 1. I know that much.
And I'll just say I remember destroying my VHS like case of mine for some reason. Yeah, because like I'm going into this now because I know I'm not going to get into this because it's not the first film I watched with my questions. But the case I have for like Toy Story 2, I think I still have it, is just like the actual cover with like the characters on it is just completely gone.
Oh,
got completely ripped off at some point.
Because I remember that cover.
I remember having that cover at one point, but now when I look back, it's a partially destroyed, just red case now.
I was going to say, was the case red? It is. So I remember the case, and I remember the cover as Woody, Jesse,
Buzz.
And Buzz.
They're on like a white background.
Yeah. And I remember just watching that a lot. Like there's scenes of it that are just
ingrained,
etched and ingrained into my brain. Like Buzz and
Other Buzz?
No. Oh, what's his name? His dad.
Zurg.
Zurg. The scene
With the Star Wars parody.
Yeah.
On the left. No, Buzz. I am your father. No.
And then all of the stuff that happens in like the collector's house and stuff is just like something about that room's just etched.
Yeah, that's like, I always remember Jesse's song in like the middle of the movie because that's always moved me. It's like even as a kid. And I also always remember the airport sequence at the end.
Yeah.
Because that was always like high adrenaline for me.
I don't think I've ever seen Toy Story 2.
No!
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
I didn't really grow up with the Toy Story movies. Like, they might have been on at some point, but I've never consciously watched any of
You've
them.
missed out on a childhood.
Oh my god.
I know. Like, you guys have talked about it somewhere, so I'm like, I have maybe like 3 scenes that I can vaguely remember. And I don't even know if that was just from trailers I watched.
I am shocked.
Wow.
I say, by the way, I keep seeing like your phone's about to go to sleep like every 2 minutes. Can you like change
Yeah,
that?
I
Because I see you
will.
keep
I
like
know.
tapping
Your
it.
brightness gives me anxiety. It is so dim.
I have it on auto.
Yeah, you can't control that. I do the same thing, so I won't judge you.
You
for
have
that.
it on auto as well?
Yeah.
I don't. I have mine like permanently set to like that.
Sometimes I don't care enough.
I can deal with my phone being too dim. I also have it like set so it never
Okay, that's
goes
fair.
off.
Yeah, I mean, I do
No, I
that. Yeah, it's just I can see you keep tapping it every 2 minutes.
Yeah, no,
like,
I'm sorry,
It's
it's
gonna be
okay.
really annoying. Dude. Just switch it.
Okay, so
Moving on to the second question. Let's get the tears flowing. Because
Yeah.
what film made you cry the most?
linking back to our recording session today, Grave of the Fireflies is fucking up there for sure.
Yeah, the moment we watched that, I was like, oh, that's gonna go on the list.
Yeah.
That's on the list, alright.
I forgot about it until we rewatched it I rewatched it for the podcast over on Melina. Go check it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to listen
If
to
you
our
wanna
Yeah,
listen to it,
go in depth on
shameless.
that experience,
Absolutely
go to Anime Lane.
shameless.
And I guess like some of these are really kind of tangentially related to that. And I've kind of got them in an order of like I'm probably gonna have to explain them, like ones that need explaining to the ones that don't. I got Saving Private Ryan first.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
I've seen that movie. I get it.
Yeah, growing up, it's like I had the memories of Saving Private Ryan, and then it wasn't until I, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I rewatched it, thinking, oh, it's a war movie. It's gonna
Yeah.
be combat and
Yeah.
fun.
I don't know why, but like when having grown up hearing about Saving Private Ryan, because big movie when we
Yeah.
were like very small. Weirdly enough, I always thought going in it would be more of an action World
Yeah,
War II
and it's
movie.
Spielberg as well. So
Exactly.
there's a certain expectation there of what you're getting, and then no,
No, it goes very hard into
Uh-huh.
the grittiness of World War II.
yeah, and I mean there's that like infamous gif of Matt Damon turning old, and the
That is
context for
spectacular.
that in the movie is just absolutely heart wrenching.
Yeah, I always think of that. Like, it's used as a meme a lot, but like when I finally saw that in the actual film, because I only really watched it in full like about 2 years ago, roundabout now, it was heart wrenching.
Yeah, because he is the only one to
survive.
survive, and he has to carry that.
Yeah.
and his I think the Tom Hanks's character's like last words are like to live a life that feels fulfilled or something
Yeah.
like that. I can't quite remember
It's along those lines.
precisely,
it's
but it's
gut wrenching.
Yeah, and so he has to carry that idea of living a life that has meaning to it.
It's that whole
Yeah.
survivor guilt of his entire
Yeah.
like company.
And then we got Forrest Gump, which is a very heartwarming movie.
Both
but
Tom Hanks movies.
Both
Mr.
Tom
Hanks
Hanks
has an
movies.
effect on
He
you.
does, but it's not.
He has an effect
and-
on everyone.
Yeah, it's not just Tom Hanks in this one because it's largely about Tom Hanks' character Forrest Gump, and you have him traveling through all the different periods of American history and meeting all these characters.
Because
But
he
the
was
through line
always
is-
there.
Yeah,
apparently.
but the through line is Jenny, and just that storyline, it's absolutely devastating.
It's that part at the end. Have you seen Forrest Gump?
No.
Oh.
Motherfucker!
Do you care if I spoil it
No,
a little?
no,
Okay,
you're fine.
so at the end of the movie, we find out that the love interest he's had for like the whole movie has like a son.
Yeah.
That gets revealed to be his son. And like the first thing he asks when he finds out, because he finds him when he's like the kid's about 8.
I think so, yeah.
7ish, but like because Forrest has like a sort of development sort of disorder thing. The first thing he asks Jenny is he smart or is he like...
Yeah.
And it's that sort of realization that, oh, he knows.
He knows and he doesn't want his son to be affected by that.
Yeah, that's like...
I know of that scene and that specific line.
Yeah, and then you have Jenny passing away.
Because that's like right after that.
Yeah, and Lieutenant Dan's story.
Oh, I completely forgot about Lieutenant Dan.
That's who plays Lieutenant? It's not Gary Sinise, is it?
I don't know. I only saw it like last time in high school, and that was a while ago. But like every scene sticks with me.
Yeah, fantastic. You really need to watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a good movie.
I think it's on Disney Plus.
I believe so.
Maybe.
Watch it on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. Coming back in 2 hours.
Okay. Return of the King. I feel like that needs no explaining. There's so many scenes throughout Return of the King.
Going west.
You know, the whole ending.
All 7 of them.
The final pages are for you, Sam.
Yeah.
The scene where they're in, I think it's Minas Tirith, and it's being besieged, and Pippin and Gandalf have a conversation about death. It's all just absolutely phenomenal stuff. You bow to no one.
That's perfection.
It's just fantastic.
While we're talking about Lord of the Rings, I want to like bring up, because I rewatched it again like a couple days ago, because it was on my YouTube recommendations. It's in Fellowship, actually. It's when Bilbo puts down the ring, like finally.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence of him and then Liv walking away, that got me a little teary-eyed watching it again, because Bilbo's my favorite character of that whole saga.
Yeah.
If there's anything about The Hobbit I love Bilbo like getting to end that whole trilogy. So it's him like being the only one strong enough to get rid of the ring.
Yeah.
And then walking off on like his last adventure. That gets me. And he says goodbye to Gandalf.
Yeah. I think I'm ready for it.
The little cart ride.
For me, it's when he gets rid of the ring, he just like walks out, he takes a deep breath and goes, I thought of an ending for my book.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happily ever after for the rest of his days. And Gandalf just goes, and I'm sure you will, old friend.
Oh.
Every time I think of that scene, I want to rewatch it again.
Yeah. Oh. And then Schindler's List.
I still need to watch it.
Wow. I mean, the whole film has so many moments, and it's like, I think, you know, people think, maybe who have never seen it, think that like, because it's a film about the Holocaust, it's quite a visually brutal film, or that it's quite intense to watch because of the content, whereas so much of it is done through implication.
Yeah.
That you see things that aren't directly that, and you know what's happening. Like when they're all being taken onto the train, and the train pulls away. And it just pans round, and you see the suitcases, and then you see the suitcases being emptied and put into a furnace, and them just stacked, the empty ones just stacked up, and it's just
brutal.
Yeah, and then there's a scene when they're taken into showers in the concentration camp, and they think they know what's going to happen, and the door slams shut.
Yeah,
and it's just darkness, and they just start screaming, but they're fine. Yeah. But it's just
And with like the knowledge we have now, watching that, because I had like similar experience when watching Boy in Striped Pajamas.
Yeah.
Like they're kids. We know what's happening. We know
the horrors.
Yeah.
And that is one of who's fucking broke me. Because again, it's like war through a child's lens.
Yeah.
They're so innocent. They believe.
They don't know.
But they don't know. God.
I think the end of Schindler's List as well. You know,
I think I've seen the ending because I saw that in like my school actually, because they played back, like they didn't play the whole movie.
Yeah.
Is that the part where like it's the actual people visiting the grave?
That is one part that absolutely got me, but it's the actual kind of like conclusion of the film where the war's done, they're free, and Ben Kingsley's character gives Liam Neeson's character a ring.
Oh boy.
That he made.
You good?
Yeah. I just thinking about it is getting me choked up. and his hands are shaking when he grabs it and he drops it and he scrambles and you just know how much that ring means.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just starts devolving into, I could have done more, I could have saved more people, but he saved like thousands of,
Yeah, he did a lot.
1,100 people or something like that. He'd done more than any one man could have been expected to save.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely heart-wrenching.
Yeah, like you can feel your heart in your chest.
Yeah.
Like, you want to yell at them.
Yeah.
You want to hug him.
Because Ben
Yeah.
Kingsley's saying, you know, you did
yeah,
everything you could.
Yeah.
There's
But
no
it's-
one else you could have saved.
Yeah, but you will not. Someone in that situation would never accept that.
Yeah.
because you know people still got hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause he's
It's
like-
not enough.
He's looking at like the car and his brooch and stuff, and he's going, he peels the brooch off and he goes, one more person, 2 more people. I could have got 2 more for this. A car, at least 3 people. And it's just,
Heart-wrenching.
yeah. And then the end when they're all going past his grave. and you think, wow.
That's-
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to be in a strong mental state to watch that movie because just hearing you describe that is getting to me.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it, and like I'm choked up and I've got tears, but you know, it's just absolutely phenomenal film. I mean, Spielberg done absolutely
Spielberg
amazing.
is fantastic when it comes to World War
Oh,
II
yeah.
because you can tell it's something he's passionate about, as you can imagine.
It's hilarious though at the same time that he was filming Schindler's List while editing Jurassic Park.
Yeah, you're right.
He's just coming
He
to the
was
editing
in-
bay.
No, he was in Europe filming, and when he was done filming for Schindler's List, he would go into a trailer that had like satellite connection and was sitting with the editors
For Jurassic Park.
for Jurassic Park. And I think he's said that's the only thing
I'll never
that-
do again.
no, that got him through the filming.
Yeah,
I
I,
mean,
imagine at that point you
understandably
need
so.
you need the fun dinosaur.
Yeah.
Yeah, God.
Those came out
movie. Back to back.
back to back the same year, 1993.
93, yeah, they would have been.
Like, God.
And that was Neeson's
Yeah, that was what
breakout
made his
performance.
career, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, as much as I love Liam Neeson as an actor, I don't think he's ever topping that. And Ben
I mean,
Kingsley,
I think he would agree with
yeah, and Ben Kingsley was phenomenal as well in that movie. Just great movie. Like,
you. I love Qui-Gon Jinn, but he's not Oscar Schindler, is
no,
he?
he's not Oscar Schindler. No Oscar though.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah,
But he's Oscar Schindler.
exactly.
Sorry, had to.
Well, now
Anyway.
I'm so sorry that because this is such a category that weighs heavy on the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
list. Part of me is like, it's good to have it at the top,
Yeah.
get it over with.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to now transition to a film that you love but everyone hates.
Yeah, back to my common question.
Terminator Salvation, Terminator 4.
That scans for you.
I think it's just like, of all the Terminator things past Terminator 2, is it has like a unique vision.
Yeah, because from what you've described, I haven't seen it because I haven't seen any Terminator past 3. Or well, I've seen Dark Fate, but every time I watch it, I can't remember what happens.
Dark Fate's on here. Oh no! Later.
But yeah, so I haven't seen Salvation yet. But from what you've described for me, it seems the most interesting plot-wise.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's-
sure in execution if it's good, but
Hit or miss. It has some interesting ideas.
is that the one? Is Christian Bale in that movie?
Christian Bale plays John Connor. Yeah,
That's so weird to
it
me.
is so weird. It's the only one that really dives into the future war as like an idea. So it's post-apocalyptic, and you have people trying to survive Skynet and stuff like that. And I think it's just, it captures something. It's not quite Terminator 1 and 2's vision of the future war, which is all very
It's very 80s.
yeah. And I wish we had got a film from then about the future war.
Every time I rewatch Terminator 1, and I put it on last night as well and everything, like I always wish that we got like a full movie of that future.
Yeah.
'cause it's so 80s post-apocalyptic.
But yeah, no, everyone really doesn't like it. It's not the lowest scoring Terminator movie because Genesis exists.
Which was on TV during like the weekend, and I put it on in the background, and even I knew it was like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah, but no, I quite like Salvation.
No,
It's
but
like-
everyone deserves to have their little
Yeah,
guilty
it also
pleasure
has
moment, you know?
Alice in Chains in it. they turn on a car radio and they start playing, and I was like, oh yeah, you're just appealing directly to me, aren't you?
Poor Alice.
It was a movie made for you to be like, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks.
What do you want?
That's the only one I have for this, because I couldn't think of any other ones that like I know have like a bad reputation, but I quite like. Not that I'm saying I agree with like a general consensus.
No, but
on
where you
things a lot of
feel
the
like
time.
the disparity is like big enough.
Yeah.
I
No,
just
fair.
thought of my answer for my turn next time, so I'll keep that a secret until then.
What is a film that you used to love but don't anymore? And is it to the point of fucking hating it?
No. Neither of these answers are hate. It's more just like they're okay.
Just sort of meh.
Spirited Away.
Understandable.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
I used to really love that when I first seen it. And then I watched more Ghibli and I watched more Miyazaki, and there are just far better things just from him, you know? Nausicaa, Cagliostro.
I'm always gonna simp that movie.
Yeah.
Totoro's better, you know?
Oh yeah.
And even if we're talking about like, you know, it got an Oscar, but if you ask me, Grave of the Fireflies deserved it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Though when Grave of the Fireflies came out, there was no animated Oscar.
Yeah.
And then The Goonies.
What happened?
Really? I mean, I've not seen it.
Everyone
really?
loves that movie, but the more I've rewatched it, the more I'm like, not much really happens in this movie. It's a lot of them being stuck.
Ah, okay.
And it's kind of a bit boring at times. And
Yeah.
you also have stuff that's like aged a bit like milk.
Yeah,
Like the
that
way
is
they
the
treat
risk.
Chunk and the sloth, you know.
Is Chunk the fat kid?
Chunk's the fat kid.
Yeah, I could have
Okay,
fucking guessed.
that's yeah.
And then you got Sloth, the
thing.
the guy.
I shouldn't call him the thing. He's a person.
Hey, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
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 That sort of stuff's just kind of.
Yeah. Because the fact that it aged so badly,
Yeah.
even the nostalgia factor is probably just over it. I'm like,
Yeah.
It's all it is in my head, because I've never seen it. I've only ever known about it in passing and like, references and stuff. It's just sort of the sort of 80s movie.
Yeah, but I think all the sort of, not the worst elements, but the more kind of boring elements.
Yeah, the
of
sort
them.
of casual elements, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's
Which I'm
also-
sure that's why some people like it, but
It's
to
also
me,
trying to like balance two different plots that are really like, because you have the kids doing the whole like looking for the treasure, but then you have Chunk being like captured and tortured by the like murderer family thing, and it's like, what? Yeah, very weird. I remember really loving it as a kid and growing up, and then rewatching it like more as I've grown. I've been like, yeah, I'm just kind of bored by this.
I mean, fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Then, as the only person in
only
this
horror
group
fan.
that likes horror, what is the scariest film you've seen?
This was a tough question because I'm very resilient against horror.
Yeah, you
So
are.
finding a movie that like genuinely scared me is hard. And thinking
It's
of one
gonna
I've
be easy
seen.
for us.
We're like, Spider-Man.
That one part of Polar Express. you know
Oh,
the
it
part.
really fucked me up.
So last year I watched a film called Silent House, and it's Elizabeth Olsen.
You've told us about
Yes,
it.
I've talked about this
yes.
on the podcast
Isn't it?
before. There's a clip where I talk about it. It's all shot as one continuous take. They're in they've just moved into a house and weird
Classic.
things start going wrong, and it's just the way it's shot and the way Elizabeth Olsen acts it is just genuinely like very tense, and it becomes very unnerving and very uncomfortable as the film progresses. On the flip side, one thing I'm really not good with, even though I'm not a big believer in it, is for some reason paranormal films fuck me up.
Oh no, I
talked
don't
about
fuck with
Yeah,
ghosts. I don't fuck with ghosts.
And I don't know if it's like the idea of the unknown. Like I can come to terms with a mad killer with a hockey mask
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
immortal. Like,
Yeah.
I can at least somehow tangibly get away and deal with
I
that.
think it's a fundamental human thing, because I think on some level almost everyone's scared of like ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Evil
like-
spirits.
we don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
the brain trying to like make patterns and stuff it can't explain.
Yeah.
It comes out as ghosts.
Because as you said, like Man with Chainsaw, like, yeah, but
We know.
come on.
I would give anyone Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the original, as like one of their like scariest films. I could see that because that, even the remake, made me uncomfortable. Not scared, but just the way it's made.
I haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I know I've seen enough about it, and I know that like I get it completely.
Yeah.
It's very grounded, especially the original.
Yeah.
Even in the way it's shot.
It's one of those ones, like I think like Friday the 13th, where the remake is just as good.
Oh wow.
In fact, Friday the 13th, I think the remake's better than the originals.
I don't know if that's a hot take or not.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of the original like set. I couldn't get far into them. I think I got to about the fourth movie and just was like, this is kind of boring.
You never got to Jason X, Jason in
I
Space?
never got to Jason Takes Manhattan.
Freddy versus Jason.
I've seen that because I'm a
Okay.
big Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
I figured.
For an example of two particular paranormal movies that messed me up is a set of two films called Grave Encounters, one and two, set in a sane asylum, where they're like a paranormal investigative film crew that go in and they're shooting, like ghost adventures, and it's all meant to be fake, but then real
It's
stuff
actually
starts
not
happening. It's
fake.
actually not fake, and it's you set anything in an asylum
I'm
and
out.
paranormal, like
out.
I'm done. I'm fucked.
So
Yeah.
I have to ask now, have you ever seen The Grudge?
Yes, I love The Grudge.
Okay. Because I hear that's a ghost sort of movie, isn't it?
A little bit, but I think it's in the same vein as The Ring,
Okay.
where I
Well,
will give
yeah.
The Ring 2002, the remake, props for being more scary than the original Japanese version.
Because I always hear that's like Japanese sort of ghost sort of thing, so I wasn't sure if that fucked
I
you
can
up.
somehow reconcile the idea of Japanese ghosts better than our ghosts. I think because usually they take the form of something.
They seem
Yeah.
more tangible.
Yeah, they're more tangible ideas, and they're more folklorish in a sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I can fuck with.
Yeah, because there's like almost a mythologicalization of
Yeah.
Sadako from The Ring and Samara from The Ring and Sadako from The Grudge.
Well, yeah, because those are actually based on folklore tales. aren't
Yeah.
they? Or, like inspired by at least. So
So I can, I'm better with those than I am with like
okay.
intangible, like Paranormal Activity. The first time I watched it, fucked me right up.
The reason I brought up the Grudge specifically is because the ghost girl in that fucks me up. Just like the design.
She's
and the look.
creepy.
I don't like her.
I do find her creepy. I also find Samara from The Ring quite creepy as well.
I mean, same, yeah, but like, it's the Grudge that I come across more often somehow. Stop it.
I just avoid everything to do with horror. So like you guys are like, oh, she looks creepy. I'm like, I know what the girl from The Ring looks like, but I don't know the other one.
She kind of looks similar.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
very similar.
I don't want to see it. Don't pull it up.
No, I won't. I basically spend most of the year just amassing new horror films to watch when it comes to October. So I have the Grudge set with all the original Japanese ones to watch.
For me, when I see like the designs just based on the girls again, the Grudge girl sort of fucks me up more because it's the eyes. She's got the very wide eyes sort of stare that like that fucks me up. Like just looking at it, and I'm like, no, go away. No.
No.
Wait. Anyway.
Then to transition to a question similar to one we had before, but we flip it. What is a film you used to hate, but now you like?
Godzilla 2014. I'm a big Godzilla fan. I haven't seen a lot of the movies, but I do really like Godzilla.
Same boat.
Yeah. I grew up being Zilla 98 pilled.
That's the term now.
As like the only experience I ever had of Godzilla. Like
Terrible experience for Godzilla.
I liked
as
it
a
growing
whole.
up though, is the thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things I can watch as like a bad movie.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
not good.
It's Jurassic Park adjacent.
Yeah, basically. But then there was all this hype around, 2014 coming out.
I
It was
remember the hype.
Yeah,
I was excited for that
it
movie.
was Goji's return to form. It was meant to be more.
It was actually Godzilla.
It was actually Godzilla. It was meant to be more in line with what the films, the Japanese films are. It was meant to be the start of, a bigger universe with a bigger idea
Which is
behind
still
it.
going and is relatively going well.
Yeah. I've enjoyed all of them so far.
I'm slow to catch up on them. I've only just watched Kong Skull Island in full, so I need to watch King of the Monsters next.
Yeah.
And well, really I need to rewatch 2014 because it's been a long time. And then I need to watch King of the Monsters and then Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
So I need to catch up.
Yeah,
like,
there is another one in production. I know. I can't remember what it's called though.
we're getting a moth. Where's Jet Jaguar?
Yeah.
I want my boy.
But I remember then it coming out in 2014, and the trailer was a little misleading because it heavily promoted Bryan Cranston being in the movie. It heavily promoted Godzilla being in the movie.
I remember that trailer. I used to play that trailer all the time, like when it was like going the rounds, because it's a good trailer.
It is a very good trailer, but Bryan Cranston dies within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And then Godzilla, I think, has something like 10 to 15 minutes of total screen time across the 2-hour movie.
I think that's why I've never gone back to it, because I want more Godzilla.
It's a genuinely good movie. I like what Gareth Edwards was going for with it. It's much more the idea behind the 1994 one, where it's like he's there and it's more about trying to not necessarily stop him, but like, you know, yeah, it's about stopping him really.
Yeah. Also sort of living with
living with him. Yeah, that's sort of the
you can't
end
stop
result.
him.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing with Godzilla. Every movie they try to stop him, and it's like
You can't.
it's like he's being hit with like paper airplanes.
yeah.
Stop.
And so I just remember being really disappointed because there's a heavy focus on what's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Craven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
But you know, the not X-Men one.
Not X-Men one.
The weirdly Russian one.
Yeah. He's
who's also in that movie with Elizabeth Olsen.
yes, that's
and their
true.
Husband and wife.
And
this was a year before Age of Ultron where they were twins. That's weird.
Yeah. So there's a big focus on him as like a drop trooper or something like that.
Like a paratrooper.
Like a paratrooper or something. And so like
ODST.
yeah, it's I think the expectation versus what we got
Is what killed it.
what killed it for me. Rewatching it, I appreciate more what he was going for, and I do like the movie. I do think there is too much focus on Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. And I do wish we saw a little bit more of Godzilla throughout it. But I kind of appreciate that idea of like, this is a natural disaster that like, if you're in the midst of it, he's so incomprehensible that you're probably not going to see him too much. Like the statistic of it is probably quite low.
I remember one shot in particular. It's like, I think, is it Elizabeth Olsen with like the son running away from it, and like it's the doors closing.
Yeah, that's the big famous one everybody uses. Is like, show more Godzilla, because it's like right before they fight, the doors just close.
Yeah, but like that's a good shot.
It is a really good shot. And then you have them like near the end of the movie jumping out of the plane and falling through the clouds, and it's like
was used in the trailer.
Yep, used in the trailer. There's all this sort of like red flares and stuff, and you're just seeing like outlines of Godzilla and stuff. So it's really effective.
Yeah, it's good shit.
But
I wish there was more of it.
Yeah, but you know, everyone kind of thought not enough Goji.
Does King of the Monsters have more Goji?
Oh, King of the Monsters has way more.
Okay, cool.
King of the Monsters is more like some of the later Japanese ones where they like work alongside him.
Yes, that's what I want.
Yeah.
and King. I want to say Ghidorah, but that's not.
Oh,
I'm thinking the
Ghidorah.
Ghidorah. For some reason, Ghidorah's the first one that comes to my head.
Ghidorah's in that movie. Yeah.
I know. I gotta watch it.
Then we will move on to the film that means the most to you, but not because of the film itself, but the circumstances or memory of seeing it.
So I'll probably just give this to the film that got me into horror, like when I was really young. I remember being 5.
Oh God.
And for whatever
sorry.
reason, I was sleeping in like my parents' bed. And my dad was watching a film called Jeepers Creepers. And this is a very quite straightforward, quite simple horror movie. These kids are driving back home from college. And they're driving down like a back roads in America.
Of course.
It's, you know,
The back rooms.
it's like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like the sister asks where the cell phone is, and it's like out of charge in a bag at the bottom of clothes, because cell phones weren't that prevalent back then.
Yeah. Premium stuff.
And then this van starts slowly catching up to them, and it like starts trying to ram them, and eventually they drive off the road and they have to try and get back, and it turns out that the van was being driven by like this creature that comes that wakes up every 23 years and starts like eating to survive, and it lives in a church, and the church is like filled with all these bodies that are like almost like stapled and like put onto the ceiling. And I was 5 when I watched
this. Would terrify
the
me now.
scene that I remember so distinctly is there's a scene where they've kind of just caught up to him as he's like killed a guy on the road, and there's a shot of the Jeepers Creepers or whatever, the creature, I can't remember what he's called specifically, throwing a head into a van, and then he pulls the head out.
Yum, 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 yum,
No,
yum.
hold on. So he has the head and he put the body in, and he just grabs the head and he just sucks the tongue out of it. And then there's really funny shot of him opening the door, and it's suddenly on the inside of the van. He just throws it in and slams the door shut. And it's quite funny in execution. And I just remember seeing that as a 5-year-old and was like, huh. I think I found something I really like here.
That's fucked up.
It is kind of fucked up. And I still really like Jeepers Creepers, and I still really like Jeepers Creepers 2, but unfortunately the director Victor Salva is a predator.
Well,
yeah, he went to prison, served time, is out.
Moving on.
let's not go into
It's something I could not address.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
What is your most memorable theater experience?
I have a lot. One, Toy Story 3. Because of the fucking incinerator scene at the end. That I went to see in theaters, and that came out in what, 2007?
No, that was 2010.
2010. So I would have been 13.
Yeah. I was
God,
9.
that was traumatic.
How do you think I felt? I was 9.
You were 9, yeah. But some of the other ones, I have Scotland Loves Anime 2019. That was the first time I went to see like anime like on the big screen with like a big group of people there. That was really cool, just seeing the reactions to stuff. Like Children of the Sea was the first movie that day, and everyone, we were warned beforehand by the person who introduced all the movies, this film doesn't make sense. And the credits rolled, and you could just feel the sense of the theater going,
What the fuck?
What?
Yeah, but it's nice if it's a collective experience.
Yeah.
Though,
It's the same around the same time, or the same sort of screening you watched Promare. And like
that was the Monday for that.
Okay. So
So
I remember you telling us about that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was on the podcast or not, but
I'm not sure actually. So this was the Saturday with Children of the Sea. Then it was Weathering with You afterwards. I got to see that in a theater with a bunch of people. That was really cool. And then it was later. It was the One Piece. One of the One Piece movies was like the mystery movie, which was the time they fucked up by making a franchise movie.
Yeah, come on.
The mystery movie. So you had a bunch of people who did not turn up. It was a very empty theater, and it was so late at night. It was just really chill. There was like I ended up meeting up with a friend from high school, and getting chatting with him, sat with his group, and there was a group in front of us, and before the film started showing, we were just chatting, and it was a nice experience. Then the Monday rolls around, and I went to see Promare with them again. We sat and we were watching Promare.
who the fuck?
It's X Flag. So all the logos show up, and we see X Flag, and it's like this very intense like X Flag. And me and the guy sitting next to me just went, "The fuck is X Flag?" and a girl in front of us just turned around and went, "Shh." We're like, the film hasn't even fucking started.
It's a valid question though.
After Scotland Loves Anime, I then went to see Weathering with You at the Cameo Theatre in Edinburgh, and it's tiny. It's the screen I was in is like 20 seats.
Nah.
So it was really like quite an intimate screening. It was really nice. It was also the first time I got to see the film with like subtitles for the song lyrics. So that added a nice little extra bit to the it was also fucking cold because it was January 2020.
Oh,
I remember that.
It wasn't late at night.
Oh, I thought it was late night.
It was morning.
I mean, same difference.
Yeah. It was the first showing at the Cameo that morning, I think at 11 a.m. in January, and it was 2020.
Yeah, I remember it being really cold in like early 2020. It was a sign of things to come.
Yeah. I then saw the My Hero Academia second movie in the cinema right before lockdown happened, and the cinemas experienced power cuts, so the screening was delayed as it was, and then halfway through it just shut off.
Yeah.
And we had to wait like 10 minutes for it to come back on, and they had to like jump back like 5 minutes or something like that. So
That's just kind of funny.
yeah. I don't think I have a couple other ones, but they're not really that interesting stories. They're just like things that stick in my mind. Like I saw Akira in the cinema. That was just really fucking cool. The first time I ever went to see an anime movie on the big screen was Dragon Ball Super Broly, and I did not expect it to be sold out with people taking their kids to see it.
Wow.
So it was like people my age and older taking, like, obviously grew up watching it I did, taking their kids to see it, and that was just like a great experience. Unfortunately tied to the memory of sitting on Twitter before going in to see it in a shut down shopping centre, because that's where the cinema is, finding out about all the Vic Mignogna stuff, and he's in that movie. That was when all that stuff started to come out in 2019.
God.
So that's
a solid experience.
Yeah. That was like that movie coming out was like the downfall of him and his career and all of the stuff and it got really fucking messy after that. So I think that's a weird memory, both really good and really bad. I just started seeing it and going, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, that's a horrible experience. Like, just before your movie, you're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to enjoy this the way I was going to.
Just in the back of my head, Knuckles. Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah. Then listen as the slow saxophone solo starts. Go, Sean.
What?
Do it.
Do the saxophone.
Yeah. Do Carol's Whisper. Yeah, good enough. Michael, what's the sexiest film you've ever seen?
This is not a compliment to this movie.
Oh. It wasn't worthy of this intro.
You'll understand it.
I'm sorry I paused, by the way. I had to remember how it went because I was put on the spot.
You'll understand this answer. Batman
Sean?
Returns.
It's
not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
No, I get you. That movie is horny.
It is. It is so horny, and there is so much leather.
So much skin time.
Yes. That movie made probably a lot of people realize something about themselves.
Yeah, many people had awakenings to that movie. You can tell by watching it.
Yeah. Like, I know very little about it, but sometimes I see person, who allowed this?
Yeah.
And what was the general atmosphere on set?
He was given far too much control.
Yeah, because Batman 89 made a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
It was very successful. So Warner Brothers was like, well, we trust you now, Burton. Do whatever the fuck you want. He did whatever the fuck he wanted.
Yeah.
And then Warner Brothers was like, no. This thing had McDonald's tie-in promotions.
So things that happen in this movie. The Penguin is some sort of freakish mutant abomination, which is very different from what he's like in the comics. I mean, he's sort of grotesque, but
yeah, he's not
a sewer-dwelling, creepy bird man.
Eats raw fish.
Yeah, with like fingers that merge together into like fins.
Yeah.
It's weird. Very different from what he is in the comics. Black Cat, full leather, almost a gimp suit sort of thing. Fucking
Batman suit is very...
Batman kills a lot of people.
Batman kills a lot of people, yeah.
Which, I mean, some you can argue it happened in 89 as well, but it wasn't as apparent.
Yeah.
Like at one point he sets like people on fire.
Oh.
With the jet of like the Batmobile.
Yeah.
This
that would make the movie pretty hot.
I will end. This movie got a McDonald's toy marketing thing and was very heavily marketed to children.
Yep.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask, like, did parents take their kids
Yes,
to this? And
they
then
did.
we're like,
A lot
oh
of
no!
walk-ins.
And then they complained, which was part of the reason why Warner Brothers kicked Tim Burton off the next one.
Yeah.
And we got Schumacher.
He did have a meeting for a third one, and he said that it was very clear to him that they didn't want him.
No. It was basically a way of saying, we're firing you, but not officially.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And then we got Schumacher, who just made fantastic Batman
And
movies.
arguably, Returns is the least criminal of the other two movies that follow it when it comes to, like, sexiness.
Yeah.
Like, Returns is overtly horny, but forever, and especially Batman and Robin. Oh,
Yeah, because it's in those movies we get skin tight.
yeah,
Like
bat nipples.
Yep,
Yeah,
bat
there's-
nips. Yep.
molded onto it for the armor for some reason, and we get full on bat ass shots.
Yeah,
When they're suiting up for reasons
Nice.
beyond me.
yeah,
Very deserving of this category, though.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
It's even better when like Batgirl comes in Batman and Robin, because she's in that movie.
yeah. She is.
Who doesn't have bat nipples? I
No,
wanna
thank
state.
Oh,
fucking God.
Thank God.
Because I don't think Schumacher could have gotten away with
no,
that.
No.
no.
She does get the
definitely
bat ass shot because of course
She does.
Then we'll move on to a film you think outclasses its source material.
Yes. So this is obviously whatever it's based on.
Yeah.
Thinking
Yeah.
it's better. Blade Runner.
Agree.
I've read Do Androids Dream of
Electric
Sheep?
Sheep.
It's a fucking mouthful of a title. It's fine. But Blade Runner elevates it.
I've heard enough
yeah,
of like the book.
I've heard of it.
Like I've not read it, so I can't fully comment. But like I just know that like the movie's probably always gonna be better in my eyes.
Yeah. So that one needs like no explaining.
No,
No.
absolutely not.
And then I mentioned it earlier, but the American remake of The Ring is much better than the original Japanese version of The Ring.
Interesting, yeah. Do you think it's a budget reason or just...
The Japanese one was from the 80s, but has like an overriding feel of the 70s, and so it just sort of falls into being not that scary. If it was the 90s,
Yeah, I thought
then
it was the 90s.
It's even worse that it feels like the 70s.
Yeah.
The film's very the original one's very bright.
yeah, so
Like
the-
it ends with them digging up the well on like a island type beach house type thing, because it's on like stilts and stuff, and it's just like broad fucking daylight.
Oh, great.
So
Yeah,
it's
no,
sorta-
it just doesn't...
Yeah.
No.
Whereas-
Atmospherically, it doesn't give you
Taste
what
the
you want.
sun,
No.
motherfucker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whereas like the American version's like wet, dreary, overcast Midwest America.
Which I feel like I don't know if it's just like an us Western thing, but that's creepier.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, fair. Then, what is objectively the greatest film of all time, according to you, even if you don't like it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
objectively.
So two of these I've seen and think are fine, and one is very, very good.
Can I ask, is one of them Citizen Kane?
One of them is Citizen Kane.
Do that.
Arguably, we would not have most cinema we have now
Yeah.
without Citizen Kane.
I will
So-
say, for like when I read this question, I knew Citizen Kane's probably going to be on my
Yeah.
list as well, because
Its significance is more important than whether we
Yeah.
when
can
you bring
enjoy it as more modern audiences.
objectivity into it, like my mind is going to go to, well, what pioneered the most techniques
Yeah.
and made film what it
Yeah.
is today? And in my head, to give spoilers on my list, I guess it's going to be either Citizen Kane, or if I'm more for a more effects style, I'd actually say the original King Kong.
That's I can see that.
That
Yeah,
pushed
yeah.
a lot of techniques in terms of just effects.
Yeah. So
That those answers might change when I
Yeah.
actually put my list together and think of more stuff.
see.
But there's my sneak preview for my list.
So mine are Citizen Kane. Like I said, modern cinema kind of doesn't exist without it.
Exactly.
It's a fine movie. It's
Yeah.
just it's long and it's kind of meandering, but
Yeah.
it's of that era.
Having now finally watched it myself, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Godfather. Long, meandering, of its time, but it did create something.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have got Goodfellas and the better mobster gangster movies without it. I also think it had like a nice impact on just cinema in general. I think it elevated something in it.
Yeah.
It's a bit more intangible than, say, Citizen Kane, where I can't quite explain the impact it's had.
Yeah, it's not as clear cut on like what it really did. I mean,
Yeah.
it did a lot, but
Schindler's List.
But yeah.
Okay,
we-
yeah,
We
absolutely.
discussed it.
Yeah,
It's
phenomenal film.
Phenomenal.
It's very deserving of a film.
can't argue with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, can't
yeah,
argue
can't
that.
argue with that.
Understood fully.
Steven Spielberg has a fantastic
Understand.
library of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Very different, very adaptive. He's a really good director.
He is one of the greatest filmmakers.
He is
of
one
all
of the
time.
greatest.
I'll definitely
Yeah.
parrot that.
nothing tops Schindler's List
No.
from an objective standpoint.
It's definitely the most significant.
Yeah.
Wow. Then, assuming this won't be answered by Schindler's List, because what is the film you can watch the most over and
Schindler's
over
List ain't on
again?
this.
Oh no, Grave of the Fireflies.
Ghost in the Shell,
Yeah,
of course, one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies of all time.
Of course.
The Lord of the Rings.
I'm right there with you.
Yep.
I'll parrot that.
Back to the Future.
Oh man.
Yep. Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
I got so many ideas for my list.
Yeah, and Monty Python and the Life of Brian.
That's the two classics. That's your
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
100%.
They've never reached those highs.
No.
No.
Not even
absolutely.
like the original show.
Yeah. So yeah, I can just rewatch any of them,
Any of them. Yeah.
again and again.
No. I think all of those we would be like, yeah,
Yeah,
sign me
yeah.
up. No.
We're on the same page on this answer.
Then, what is the worst film you've ever seen?
2 Terminator movies, Genesis and Dark Fate.
Wow.
Absolutely fucking atrocious. People said Dark Fate was fine. Go fuck yourselves. Oh, piece of shit. Seriously, awful.
I don't despise it that much. I just don't care for
I
it.
fucking hated it. Oh no.
You're genuinely
Oh my
angry.
God.
I was genuinely upset when I watched that.
You're going
It's-
through a roller coaster of emotions
Yeah.
on this list.
every Terminator movie that takes place in modern day kind of pushes back the events of Judgment Day, because Terminator 3 sort of establishes it's not about preventing it, it's about staving it off as much as possible so that we can
Have more preparation.
and we can survive better.
Because Judgment Day is inevitable.
Yeah, Dark Fate basically, like, Judgment Day? What's Judgment Day? This is something else. We're rewriting canon, and it's just worse because it's all the stuff from the original, but with a different name. And it's just inferior.
What was Skynet renamed to again?
Some stupid, like, it was some biblical reference, I think.
Was it Genesis?
No, because that was Genesis.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was called because I've just blocked out most of
Because you
it.
can't give a
Also,
shit.
Morning Star? I don't know.
Something, I don't know. The effects are also fucking awful.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Oh. Anyway, they brought back Linda Hamilton.
Yes, they did.
She didn't need to. She didn't need to be there.
Like I love Sarah Connor, but like,
Yeah,
come the fuck on.
yeah. They also brought back Arnie, who was just way past it.
Yeah. Didn't need to really.
Anyway,
On a more positive note, what film made you laugh the most?
I've already mentioned them.
I want to add Monty Python, isn't it?
Yeah, Holy
Which-
Grail and Life
Yeah,
of Brian.
yeah.
Both of them. Just both of them.
No, Holy Grail's above it for me personally.
I think it can flip flop for me.
It flip flops
yeah.
a lot for me because the thing is, I watched Life of Brian a lot more before I watched Holy Grail, because my dad had it on like DVD and we would watch it a lot before I finally watched Holy Grail. So like I can remember a lot more jokes from Life of Brian, I think, on any given day. I say that Holy Grail has so many jokes I can sort of say word for word now.
Yeah.
There are some who call me Tim.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
Blue. No, wait, yellow. And suddenly the animator had a fatal heart attack. And the beast was no more.
Let's not visit Camelot. It's a silly place.
a truly classic. I feel like comedy has not. We take comedy too seriously.
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
I wish to return to the stupidity.
Yeah.
I want a return to silliness.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to go to the silly place. Back to the round table.
I am not the Messiah. He is the Messiah.
All right, I am the
Messiah. Now fuck off.
Very Messiah-like. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's his name? Brian. We worship
Okay.
you, Brian.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
Live in peace.
Okay. What film do you wish had turned out different?
A lot of mine need explaining, I think. So there's The Exorcist. It's not a bad movie. It is genuinely one of my favorite horror movies. But neither version, the theatrical cut or the director's cut, are the perfect version of that movie. They could have met somewhere in the middle of those two, because all that the director's cut did was restore 12 minutes that the original author, William Peter Blatty, didn't want taken out, but the studio did. It also added in some random effects that didn't need to be in there. Like there's
Spider walk.
It added the spider walk scene back in, which I think that doesn't need to be there. It kind of doesn't fit with the pacing of the movie.
It's weird how that's sort of an iconic scene.
Even though it was never in the movie until 2000.
That's weird, because every time I think of Exorcist, I think of that walk.
Yeah.
And I remember learning for the first time it was only added in like 2000. Was it 2000?
2000, I think, is when the director's cut
and
came
being
out.
like, what?
Yeah. Then you have like faces that get superimposed into
the
random parts of the
Pazuzu
movie.
faces.
Yeah. And there's just a couple other things, like maybe take a couple of scenes out. The theatrical cut is more effective pacing wise, but it doesn't have the right ending. It just randomly cuts.
Yeah.
Like there's the theme, the iconic theme that plays under the final scene. Yeah, and it just gets hard cut into the credits because they just cut it out without changing the music. So yeah. Also, The Exorcist 3. The Exorcist 3 is based on a book called Legion, which is not really an Exorcist sequel.
But it's from the same author.
It's from the same author, yeah, and he directed the movie. And so the studio that made the third movie got the cut that William Peter Blatty made and were like, "Where's the exorcism?"
Yeah.
And he was like,
The what?
"The what?" So he had to rewrite and like change the movie, and went massively over budget. It was a really expensive sequence to make that final exorcism scene. And there's the original cut that's a very different movie is kind of lost. There's some VHS daily rushes that Arrow used to kind of reconstruct it, so it jumps from very nicely scanned in footage.
It jumps in quality a lot.
Yeah.
I've read about that. I like, by the way, that we're very much skipping Exorcist 2, the greatest movie of all time.
Actually, you know what? That's going on worst films you've ever seen as well. I fucking hate that movie.
I've heard horror stories, but not in the way they were from that movie. James Earl Jones is in that film.
He is.
Wow.
But round about this, which was filmed around the same time he was doing Darth Vader. It's a very different role.
Yep.
He's a sort of tribal king.
I think so, yeah.
Who dresses like a lotus.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know, right?
The Exorcist made a lot of money.
Exorcist 2 has nothing to do
No.
with anything.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I'd like to. I would have loved if the version that William Peter Blatty originally wanted to make could have been fully restored and made, and I think that would have been like a very good version. So I wish it turned out different.
Exorcist Coda.
Yeah.
The death of the Exorcist.
Star Wars sequels.
This was going to be my answer.
Yeah.
You stole my answer.
As much as I have issues with the prequels, there's only small minor adjustments. I think.
like the overall story I like. And
just kind of pluck out midichlorians.
Yeah, you can take that out.
Yeah.
It's execution with the prequels that
Yeah.
I think most of the problems come with, but like
fundamentally the sequels.
I wouldn't even say just all the sequels. I'd say just change Force Awakens, which by effect changes the other two, but like sneak preview on my list again. What I would change for episode 7, it's one tiny little thing. Don't destroy the New Republic. It's that little moment that completely resets everything and makes the whole original trilogy feel so redundant. Because they just destroy what they were fighting for in the original trilogy just to reset it back because nostalgia.
For me, I would have had one person handling everything.
Absolutely.
Some overarching. They didn't need to direct it, but just one single writer at the very
Yeah,
least.
no, at
Feige.
least like a team to
Uh-huh.
oversee, like, does this all work? Is it all interwoven nicely?
They set up what was originally supposed to do that, and it didn't do its fucking job because when they reset canon in like 2014, they set up the story group.
Yeah.
Like the Lucasfilm story group.
Which is hilarious because Marvel had done that and it didn't work.
Yeah. So, history repeating itself. Its whole point was to like basically make a new expanded universe that like everything fit together and stuff. And then they didn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's-
great.
Because like Abrams, who is a director I've funnily enough gone back and forth on a lot over the past couple of years.
Understandably so.
There's stuff from him I like, but there's decision he also.
And even then, when I don't go back to stuff that I do like, I'm like whenever I've revisited the Star Trek reboots, I've kind of been like,
you can see the Abramisms.
yeah, and so it's Abrams set up a bunch of stuff. Arguably, he just remade New Hope, which blech.
It was alright at the time when everyone wanted like that feeling again, but I think in retrospect it's only gotten worse and worse and worse.
So he set up everything he set up, arguably, again, like I said, just, remaking New Hope, destroying the New Republic,
Mystery
blah, blah,
Hope,
blah. Mystery box. And then Rian Johnson comes in and doesn't fucking answer it.
He just like, nah.
And then he sets up stuff, and then
Abrams comes back.
Trevorrow gets kicked away, and Abrams comes back and just kind of does whatever the fuck he did with Rise of Skywalker. No.
Don't talk about Rise of Skywalker. I will punch something.
Anyway, yes.
A lot.
I will be going into detail on my list, so look forward to that.
Another one I wish had turned out differently, Blam. This is a film based on a manga by Tsutomu Nihei, one of my favorite manga authors. The original manga is very atmospheric, not a lot of like written dialogue, not a lot of like actually exposition based storytelling. It's all very scenery based. It's all based on the images that you're being shown, and that's fantastic. The movie's none of that. The movie's a CGI thing, and I don't mind it because I like Polygon Pictures, the studio that made it, and I've really enjoyed watching their development from when they became a thing in 2012 through to now. Like their style and their craft is only improved, and that's been really cool to watch. But Blam, it's like a fundamental misunderstanding of what the original manga was.
Oh, great.
Because it's not something to me that worked in CGI. I think it was much better as like... unfortunately, there is no studio, much like I say with Berserk, that I think could make it now. I think it had to have been something that was made...
In the 90s?
In the 90s, unfortunately, when the manga wasn't written.
Heck.
Curse you, linearity of time.
Yeah. So there we go.
All right.
That's my films I wish had turned out different.
Then what film does everyone else like that you
Harry
don't?
Potter.
Fair. Yep.
Yeah, I ain't arguing with that.
No.
I got
yeah.
nothing else. Like, I was trying to think, and I'm like, yeah, it's just Harry Potter, innit?
Yeah, it's like I understand the nostalgia for people,
I mean,
but if you don't have it, you don't have it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bring.
I've
anyone
never
to give a
really
shit.
had any love for it, really.
Yeah, like, I mean, I had it, obviously. It was a big part of my childhood. It's J.K. Rowling wasn't as much of a bitch as she is.
Yeah. I mean,
That's a big part of
someone
it, yeah.
like asked me, why don't you like Harry Potter? Like, why have you never kind of really liked it? And I think it's just that I've always held fantasy to a higher standard.
That's good because Harry Potter is very much baby's first fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I had
that worked
seen
for me.
The Lord of the Rings first.
Yeah,
And so I think that's had
It
like
just
a
makes
tangible
it feel a bit
impact.
silly.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah,
leave
because-
my little stick.
Yeah.
because even though I was around like the Lord of the Rings when I was a very small child, I didn't actually watch it until way later so I got Potter first.
Yeah.
And obviously that was a big part of my childhood, especially living in and around Edinburgh.
Yeah.
I couldn't escape it. And having a sister who was obsessed with it,
Yeah.
and a mum who was obsessed with it, and aunts who were obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I've got a huge nostalgia spot for it that's now been sullied because the author's a
Yeah. I can imagine.
bitch. It
We've
tears me
talked
up
about
inside.
Rowling before
We've-
in the podcast.
Mentioned her a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
and like I go back to like read some stuff and I can see the cracks and the problems now a lot more.
Yeah.
And
Now that we're older, we've had it, mellow
Yeah.
for a little while. We're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
it's complicated for me now to go back to Potter.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe's still a cool dude though.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
fun.
yeah,
He's,
I love Daniel
yeah,
Radcliffe.
I'm
absolutely.
always gonna respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Emma Watson. And
Yeah,
like,
I feel like most of the cast.
the cast.
Still,
yeah.
Yeah.
not their fault.
No.
Never gonna
Not
get
their
me to dislike
fault.
Alan Rickman.
Fundamentally, the
No.
films are not amazing.
I mean, they're a roller coaster of quality. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Even at their best, I think they're mid.
I mean,
Mm. Again, the nostalgia. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say
Yeah.
this is possibly a nostalgia thing. I'd say like even removing all the Roland stuff and the nostalgia stuff, I say like specifically the first 2 movies are really good.
I think it's creative visions. Yeah, I think the first 2 are really something.
Definitely, in terms of creative visions, definitely. Like Christopher Columbus got that.
Oh,
well
yeah,
and
yeah.
really lifted it off the ground. After that, I think it's sort of a roller coaster of quality, which I get people not liking.
Yeah.
No. If you were given the opportunity, what's something you'd adapt into a movie?
City Hunter. This is a hard one to explain because we haven't seen it yet for Anime Lane. It's on our list.
We'll get to that.
It's such a simple concept. It's a guy who
He's hunting cities.
who's called a sweeper, who basically just takes on odd contracts of like people that need help, whether it's bodyguards or they're being stalked or they're being hunted.
Like a private investigator.
Like a private investigator.
I was going to say Mark.
A little bit. He is
sort of like Deadpool at the beginning of like the first Deadpool movie.
Rio, the main character, is a balance of an absolute pervert, but also the coolest motherfucker you've ever met. So
That's
like,
gonna be fun to watch.
It's comedic in the sense that he's never malicious, and
so is it like Lupin sort of?
A little bit, yeah.
It goes into that direction.
But with City Hunter, when it comes to the TV series, there's like a clear once you hit the ad break, silly Rio's gone. You've got hard-boiled badass, drawing the gun and shooting the gun out of the other guy's hand, or bouncing it off of walls and stuff like that, and killing the guy.
I think that's dissociative identity disorder.
So at his heart, he's a very good guy. It's just he puts on this, facade. And then you got Kaori, his long-term assistant, who's it's sort of will they won't they type relationship. She clearly is into him, despite being quite literally the hammer on him. Whenever he's being a bit too lecherous, she pulls out the hammer and whacks him.
This sounds familiar to me somehow.
And it's just very I could see an easy way to take it from Shinjuku in Japan and put it in New York and get that really cool night,
nightlife aesthetics, dirty piss city.
The seedy
So it becomes a
underbelly.
noir.
It kind of becomes an noir because City Hunter does have elements of that in there. And then I did sort of have castings in my head.
You've got a pitch. Pitch us.
Rio, I had never really settled on anyone. Kaori, neither. I don't think he's
go for an unknown
dynamic
person.
enough. I think I'd maybe go for a comedic actor who can do the balance of serious
that's
and
fair.
Ryan Reynolds.
No, because I had Ryan Reynolds pegged for someone else.
Oh shit.
Ryo's original assistant, Makimura, who is Kaori's older brother and dies very early on in the series. Don't worry, that's not that big a spoiler.
Okay, cool. To be fair, I'm probably gonna forget.
I would have had Ryan Reynolds play him.
Because you want him to die early on.
No, I think that would be an interesting role for him to play because he's actually the serious one in that dynamic before Kaori comes along. The 2 leads I never really had a solid casting on because I feel like it's a hard one to peg down. I don't know whether
the actor that can be sort of serious.
Yeah.
If it was
but also cool.
For some reason, if this was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I'd say Jim Carrey.
I don't think you could pull out the coolness of it.
I think it's possible, but
I'm thinking Oscar Isaac maybe.
That's actually quite an interesting one.
Because if you think of Moon Knight,
yeah,
he can handle the double.
Absolutely.
I think maybe if he were still younger, maybe Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that's a good one.
Tom Holland.
If he was actually older,
give it a few years.
Yeah, give him a few years.
He's on
If
a break
he
right
wasn't
now.
short and skinny as fuck, Rio needs to be kind of tall and buff.
Cool.
He'll work on it though. He'll work on it. Yeah.
Batista.
No, because actually, another character, Umi Bozu, I was tossed up originally thinking back in this a couple of years ago before I started fucking despising The Rock. He was a really good casting for Umi Bozu because I'll show you a picture of him.
I like how we as a group have now decided Batista over The Rock.
Yeah, come on. He's way more likable.
Exactly. I like
Yeah.
Batista.
He seems way more genuine as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's Batista.
Oh,
Right there.
that's a Batista
Like-
right there.
That's a guy.
You know, back when I didn't hate The Rock that much,
Yeah, no, I see
can
what you mean.
it. Yeah, a few years ago, I would have
because
said the
he's
same.
fucking tall as well.
Yeah.
but Batista.
Batista.
Yeah,
I
I would
would-
cast
no
Batista
trouble.
as him
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So
Right, yeah. Feels like a good answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Then what's a film you think has a better sequel?
Star Wars.
I accept.
Empire Strikes Back is the better movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always. I never know which Star Wars movie is my favorite because I love.
A New Hope's my least favorite.
See,
I
like
think it's
said,
the most boring.
It flips a lot for me. Sometimes I actually think Empire Strikes Back is my least favorite of the original trilogy, but
See, Jedi
The thing is,
would
I
be better
get
if it
that
weren't for the Ewoks.
I like the Ewoks.
There's so much time spent on that fucking planet.
I love the Ewoks. I love Endor.
Endor just takes up too much time of that movie.
I get it. Yeah, I can get people not liking it. I just really like that. I like the original like Star Wars, honestly, because of how it feels in terms of like production. Because in Empire, all the production value feels a lot better.
Yeah.
Probably because it was also directed by a more competent person.
Yup.
I will say, but there's something about the more low budget groundedness of the original that like has a charm for me.
I just like the more cinematic nature
That's
of
fair,
Empire.
yeah. Like I agree that objectively Empire is the best one.
I also
but
think it has the more engaging story as well.
that's fair.
Then we also got Dark Knight. I love Batman Begins, but arguably, from an objective standpoint,
Yeah, I can't
it is
argue
the
with
better
that.
one.
I can't argue with that.
It does sadly lose some of the aesthetic
That's-
identity.
Which is why I love Batman Begins so
Yup.
much, but I can't argue with it.
yeah. Star Trek, but that's a roller coaster of movies.
Yeah,
I was gonna
exactly.
say,
Like
for a split
yeah.
second, I was like, Inner Darkness over.
Motion picture is fucking boring, and Wrath of Khan is really good. So is Search for Spock, despite what people say.
Yeah, because the curse I always hear is that like the odd numbered Star Trek movies are always way worse than the even numbered ones.
That's true for Motion Picture, which is number 1, and Final Frontier, which is 5.
Yeah, I think those are the two big ones that people usually talk about.
But you have a really solid trilogy with Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and The Journey Home.
Yeah, I am. It's weird. Search for Spock has always been one I'm interested in because it's following on from Wrath of Khan's ending. Because like, do you care about spoilers?
No.
Cool. I don't know why I asked. We were obviously going to say no. So Spock dies at the end of Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, that's
And
the big thing.
cool.
And Search for Spock is them searching for him because apparently he's alive.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know how that really works.
And then Journey Home technically picks up from the end of that because they're on their way home from that and then end up getting thrown back in time. And then it becomes their journey home to their time.
I like the synopsis of Journey Home because it sounds like it'd be fucking stupid.
It is kind of stupid, but it's fun.
But apparently it's amazing.
Yes. This is where they get sent back in time and have to save the whales.
Space whales.
Space whales.
Oh my god, I'm never watching that.
But it's amazing.
Genuinely really good movie.
Captain, there be whales here.
And then Aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
If we're just going by cinematography, Alien does win out. But Aliens arguably is the more enjoyable movie for me.
I do like sort of horror films that go into action over time because it's like, okay, it's not scary anymore because you know how to like deal with it. So let's just blow them the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's partially why I like Resident Evil so much. Until it falls apart in 6, but that's
Yeah.
Then what film do you think has better source material?
So this was a harder one because there's a
Yeah, I
couple
can
that I
imagine,
feel like
yeah.
would have been low-hanging fruit.
I have one low hanging fruit.
What is
in my head. Percy Jackson.
See, I've never seen Percy Jackson.
I've seen the first movie, and while I liked it as a kid, after I read the books, I can't watch that movie ever again.
Like the Exorcist book is really good. Is it better than the movie? I'm not 100% sure. Ready Player One, I enjoyed the book a lot more than the movie. The movie's still enjoyable. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, neither are high caliber fiction.
No. But
Ready Player One's book, not high class literature. The movie, not high class cinema.
are they
It's
trying to be? I mean, I know Spielberg was Ready Player One's movie, but was it really trying to be high caliber?
no.
Cool.
No. Neither. Well, arguably the book is trying to be high caliber fiction, but it's, not.
Let's pretend it is.
Yeah, but the film was rewritten for the big screen to have different games so that they could translate to the screen better. Rewritten by Ernest Cline himself, the original author. But I find what's laid out in the book the more interesting adventure. I get it because a lot of what's in the book would not translate to an interesting movie.
Exactly, yeah.
There's
some things just don't translate the screen.
There's whole parts where there's a section where he has to play out War Games, the movie. Then at the end he has to play out Holy Grail.
Whoa.
So it's that's interesting in a sense because the Holy Grail thing is he then has his friends in a sort of voice chat, seeing and hearing what he's doing and kind of helping him along.
So voice chatting in VR.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, that would not translate to the big screen.
At some point, there's licensing stuff, I imagine, as well.
Yeah, some of it would be licensing. I mean, they kind of got most of it.
But yeah.
Yeah, because they got Gundam in there, they got Iron Giant. Granted, that was already owned by Spielberg, kind of.
I have to ask: was the Shining section a movie only thing?
Movie only, yeah.
Okay, that
it
makes
takes
sense.
inspiration from some of the ideas that were in the book, like I mentioned, him playing through War Games and all that sort of stuff.
But it's very different.
It's very different, yeah.
Okay, I asked just because Spielberg and Kubrick had that whole relationship. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just Spielberg adding that as a tribute.
I think he probably added that in as a tribute type thing.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I always like that fact.
And then I've already mentioned it, but Lamb. I think the source material is far better, just more atmospheric, more engaging, more interesting. And then Appleseed, the CGI movies are a fucking shit show of quality, and even the ones that are good, it's hit or miss. And the manga's just better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, High Rise is another one. The movie's good, but the book's just far superior.
I've heard very good things about the book. I've seen the movie, but which was
the movie's fine.
Yeah.
It's interesting that people, it's it's a failure, and it's it didn't make his budget back, but it cost $8 million, and it's a movie like that. Of course, it's not going to make its budget back. I think it made $4.1 million, which for a sort of indie British movie that had the BFI and Film 4 and all these other production companies going
It's one of those movies.
Yeah. Was it Ben Wheatley that directed that?
Oh, I have no idea.
Something.
I've never seen or read.
It's a good movie. Tom Holland is in it.
Okay.
Tom Hiddleston along with Luke Evans.
I did.
Why do you think I watched it?
Why am I not surprised?
I watched it because I read the book about 6 months before it ended up coming out in cinemas.
Nice.
Very good book though. I say good, it's quite a heavy book.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine.
Physically, you just can't hold it all the time.
The whole concept is that they're in a new sort of flat high rise thing, obviously. But it's split between the higher you are, the more.
It's a hierarchy basically within the building.
Okay, it's that old.
So all the poor's at the bottom, rich people in the penthouse.
And it just sort of descends.
Sort of what Edinburgh high rises were in the 19th century.
Probably.
And so that's sort of it just devolves into madness.
I'd watch it.
It's good.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Cool.
And then for our final question.
Yes.
What film lives in your head rent-free the most?
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Pat Labor 2. And Lord of the Rings.
Fair. All three equally as one big story, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, just back to back to that.
Yeah, just big mechs running around Lord of the Rings.
You see, the apocalypse happens in between and we reset back to Lord of the Rings.
That's funny because I think the third Pat Labor movie tries to prevent a nuclear war.
They failed.
It's
not even magic, it's just radiation.
No, in fact, the third Pat Labor movie is the kaiju one. So yeah, that's my rent-free films.
Thank you so much for taking us on this journey.
That was quite a journey.
Throughout your experience with film.
Yeah.
And thanks to our listeners
for joining us in this journey.
Yeah.
For joining us in this journey, and come back in 2-ish weeks if we're gonna.
No, it'll be one every month.
Okay,
so it'll fit our recording sessions.
For next month, you'll get Sean to talk about probably Toy Story again.
I guess that's locked in, yeah.
I'm locking it in now because I had
Alright,
to
cool.
host.
So I've got pressure, cool.
Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch all the recommended videos on the end screen.
Sure.
I'm
Close
very bad at outros, but thank you for listening.
Got most of it, yeah.
Yeah, I got what I needed.
Yeah.
Not subtly, but I'll take it.
You got
You
it,
know?
got it.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.